There's something else that I just got back from an hour walk with Omar, and I already told you about the Cody. Well, the woman who ties her dogs out back, her dog ran out in the street and started barking up a storm at Omar. I didn't know what the dog was at first. All I know it's something vicious that got out. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. We know this dog, Mom. And I tried to tell the woman, just like I tried to tell the other one with the other two dogs, you don't want to do that. If we were across and your dog just runs out in the street, and she's like, I know, I left the gate unlatched, and then we're talking to her more, and my mom afterwards, she's very nonchalant. She acts like it happens all the time. I'm like, well, one of these days her dog will be dead, and it'll be her own damn fault. What do you want? I don't tell people what to do, but when it slaps me in the face, their negligence or whatnot, then I am going to say something. Because over the past 2-3 months, it's happened 3 different times with 3 different pet owners, Told you about those 2 dogs down there that ran out. But that woman, she made a mistake. She's like, yeah, it's the door open. I'm like, you got to be careful. The cars around here, your dog can get killed. And then it happened with that dog across the street who ran across the street to get to Omar in his yard when my mom had him on a leash in his yard, and she could have easily. See, today, like I said to this woman, I told her about the other stories. This woman, her dog's not going to get killed by a car because we're there, and it only will go up to where we are. But if we were across in the yard, say, like the dog across the street, then it would run across, and yeah, a car could even come, and your dog could be dead like that. My mom knows. She's like, people just think nothing will happen. People just think nothing can happen, or, I don't know. Anyway, so I knew this woman. We'd met her before. She even gave me rides down to the bus before. And another time before winter, when I didn't have my computer, she gave me a ride to the library. Okay. She was the one who I've been talking to other people saying, yeah, this is a woman that ties her dog in the backyard. Well, and it had already happened. What I said might happen. She told me, yeah, 2-3 weeks ago there was a coyote in my backyard, and luckily, I heard my dog barking at it and whatnot. Her dog wasn't afraid, but still a sitting duck on one of those things, one of those runner things. I'm like, yeah, I know, it's bad, you gotta be careful. And I told her the story about what happened the other day with that woman and her dog, and, whatever. Anyway, last week, so, obviously, the elder abuse folks wanted to know if my mother before we go to court, they wanted to know if my mother had obtained the medical certificate, had gotten an IME, an independent medical evaluation. Remember, they want my mom to see their doctors, of course. And my mom doesn't want to do that. And at the, 30 months ago, whatever, she agreed to pay $1,500 and have a doctor of her choosing, okay? Which is a smart thing to do. You don't want to see them elder abuse folks, person they hand select, okay? You want to pay the $1,500. So they're wondering what's going on. And come to find out that when they found out that my mom had not gotten that thing, not gotten the IME, they immediately petitioned the judge, did an emergency thing to go to him. It was the week before our thing. We went Tuesday. It was the week before. It was a few days. They went to him and tried to convince him that he had ordered it to be done. Just talk about false hope. Even this gave me a little hope. He threw them out and said, I didn't do any such thing. I didn't order it, and your hearing's next Tuesday. I'll see you then. You can state your case then. Auntie loved that because she's like, Laura, we've got this basically in our pocket. He's going to dismiss it. He doesn't like them. I researched him. He's a Republican. They don't like the government getting involved in people's affairs. He threw them out. They pissed him off, etc., etc., etc. Even that didn't up my, I still believed it was going to go badly. Because I was a judge and you agreed to do something and then you don't do it, I'm going to be like, well, why didn't you do it, But yeah, they went and tried to get him, to convince him that he had ordered. He said, I didn't do any such thing. That made Auntie and Uncle, more positive. They were 100% positive that this was going to be dismissed. They were positive. So was my mom's lawyer. Positive. And it might have been dismissed if my mom's lawyer had done her homework, subpoenaed those transcripts ahead of time in the past month to make sure, like Joe says, you can trust that the judge will keep his word. You trust, but you verify. I mean, you subpoena those transcripts, and then you could say, look, Judge, you said this on record. Why did you say it, And what my friend wrote to me today, since the burden of proof is on the elder abuse people who have never had a medical certificate of nothing, they've never had a medical certificate, it shouldn't even have gone on this long. That's what my friend said. It shouldn't have gone on this long since they've never had a medical certificate. The burden of proof is on them. Yet here it is dragging on and on, and it's still not dismissed, and now it's going to fucking pre-trial. It's not right. It's like a catch-22 that should go in our favor. The elder abuse fucks need a medical certificate that they can't force, but they can't force my mom to see any doctor in order to obtain that medical certificate. So it should be in a standstill and it should be dismissed, right? Common sense dictates that. But since my mom had agreed, I was afraid she could be held in contempt or something, so was Joe. But she agreed on record, and when I said that to Auntie or to Uncle, well, my mom agreed on record to do it. Yeah, but he said on record if there was not one in his hand, he would dismiss the case. Yeah, but my mom's lawyer didn't even bring that up. How is it possible? I feel like I'm in the Twilight Zone. You have this strategy. And they sat there, because they were furious when they found out she didn't do it. Okay? And the judge was furious, and then they sat there and outright said to the judge, and my mom's lawyer said nothing. It made me feel like in that commitment hearing where they were lying, and my mom's lawyer at the commitment hearing, her lawyer, which they were all in cahoots, you know what I mean, said nothing. It's someone appointed probably by the hospital to represent my mom, and she said nothing while they were lying. Well, this was the same thing. Your Honor, so-and-so, Mrs., my mom's last name, Miss Bobby Boop, Mrs. Bobby Boop's, attorney, this, so blah, 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 ordered Mrs. Bobby Boop to not get it. We don't understand it. She could have seen one of our doctors. You know what I mean? And oh my God, they didn't say that, but they said something along those lines. They didn't do it, but they used the word ordered. And my mom's attorney, my mom's nervous, flustered, incompetent attorney, who's been doing this for a long, long time, said nothing. Didn't contradict what they had said. They're stating that Auntie has all the money, that she just took all the money for herself. That was an outright lie. The money is in a trust in Auntie's name and my mom, on behalf of my mom. But because the temporary conservator can't get a hold of any of the money, so it's considered that it's just Auntie's, they lied and my mom's attorney didn't contradict them. And at one point, Auntie whispered to me, he's not going to dismiss the case. And I'm like, I was thinking to myself, I knew that all along. And the second, I knew he was furious. And the second that my mom's lawyer gave the stupid bullshit lie, it's a lie. It's an obvious lie. You're supposed to make my mother out to be, not play into their hands that she's not competent, make her out to be competent, firm, strong. My client did not wish to get that IME. She didn't feel it was necessary. The burden of proof is on them. They don't have a medical certificate, okay? She didn't want to do it. And instead she uses the excuse, my client doesn't have much money, like trying to make him feel bad. My client doesn't have much money, Your Honor, and it costs $1,500. He wasn't buying that shit. Everyone knows. What's he going to think? He's going to think, like my friend wrote, that she's afraid to get it because she's afraid she won't pass it or something. The lawyer dropped the ball with that. She didn't want to pay for it. That's exactly what she did. Your Honor, look, my client doesn't have much money and it costs $1,500. That's not an excuse when she can see their doctors for free. You neglect! Oh my God. my friend is like, hell, does she even know how to practice law, this attorney? For her to have said that was so, she dropped the ball so badly. She dropped the ball. She let them say that she had ordered my mom to not get the thing. She looked like an idiot. She said my mom didn't get it because she didn't want to pay the $1,500 because she didn't have much money. What a dumb fucking excuse. My mom was supposed to read this nice, confident thing that stated all the things that my aunt had done for my mom over the years. My mom didn't get to read that. I mean, this is bullshit. This is bullshit. I feel like we were steamrolled, and the lawyer did say good things. She's like, look, Your Honor, my client has a letter from her doctor and her psychologist saying that she's perfectly capable of handling it, and he didn't care. They piped up, yeah, but that's not, he's like, I don't care, it needs to be an independent thing. He didn't care. He didn't care that my mom worked for 22 years, and despite her illness, she worked for 22 years, despite her illness. And during the time since she was diagnosed when I was very young, but she's, fine when she's on her meds. I mean, she's periodically been sick, but not spent every week, very periodically, sporadically. When she got sick in 2009, she hadn't been sick in over 10 years. And I'm talking at all, nothing, not even the most minor breakdown in over 10 years, and that's why it affected me so badly. But remember, this was after Donald had, done what he'd done, and I'd been in an abusive relationship for years and whatnot in that bed. That was the icing on the cake. That had fucked me up, okay? No wonder I held on so tightly to my Chad Kroger loves me and all his friends are rooting for me delusion. All his elite on this, his elite friends, the elite on this planet, the blessed, the ones, Anyway, yeah. She did say good things, and she pointed out definitely, and he didn't care. My mom was made conservator over when they fought against it. But remember, she didn't have much time either. This is our fourth fucking thing. This judge knows nothing. It can't be summed up in less than 15 minutes, And she did do good things when she pointed out the thing where my mom was made, her now deceased husband, at the time he wasn't deceased, she was appointed as his conservator despite her illness, okay? The judge cared about nothing about that. All he wants is that fucking medical certificate. That's it. I can't try this case without it, period. Why can't it be dismissed since they don't have a case if they don't have that they can't force my mom to get, It's not right. It's not right. But now he's ordered it to be done, But the thing is, it shouldn't even have gone this far. That's what my firm said. She's like, this is illegal. It should not have gone this far. It should have already been dismissed. Remember, the guardianship part was dismissed at trial hearing number 2. Okay? Now it's all about whether she can handle her financial affairs. Okay? But again, they can't just decide that she can't. And they can't, it's just, I don't get it. Like, ask a friend, well, if they need that medical certificate in order, but no one can force my mom to see a doctor in order to obtain it, then to me it's like it has to be, if it was a trial, it has to be a mistrial. It's like at a standstill. You can't force my mom. And Auntie told me before that she doesn't even think a judge could force my mom. Nobody can force you to see a doctor. But if my mom doesn't, then she'll be seen that she's refusing because she's afraid, and then it'll go in their favor. So she has to do it. But the only reason she didn't do it this time was because Uncle opened his mouth and said, well, he said he'll dismiss it if we don't have it. Why don't we just not get it? And Auntie went along with it while I was shaking and cringing. I knew it wouldn't work, and it didn't. But it actually might have worked had my mom had a lawyer that was on the ball, that was like, look, you said you dismissed it. She didn't even bring it up. Why have that strategy and not bring it up, okay? But yeah, they found out right before, just a week before or something. They called up, so did she get it? They want to know, of course. They want to know. And then she said she didn't get it. I'm wondering if she said to them, gave the real reason she didn't get it. If she should have said to them, he said he would dismiss. She probably didn't even say it to them. She probably didn't even say to the elder abuse fucks what she didn't say to the lawyer, to the judge. She probably just said, no, she didn't get it. She doesn't need to get it. She doesn't want to pay the money or whatever, She should have said to them, you know, my client doesn't have to get it. The burden of proof is on you. You don't have a medical certificate. But let me remind you, when I have said to her, when I got to talk to her, I said, you know, the elder abuse people have lied. No, they haven't. No, Laura. You know what I mean? I feel like they're all in cahoots. She's buddies with the temporary conservator. And you know what I mean? My shelter friend told me, she's like, Laura, you should speak up the next hearing and say that you think it's a conflict of interest that your mom's court-appointed attorney is buddies with the temporary conservator. You think I would ever dare do that? I'm not going to do that. I'm not even allowed. The judge didn't even know who I was. Didn't know who any of us were. Okay? He doesn't know who we are. We're sitting in the back like regular people just there. We weren't allowed to be up there like Auntie and I were the first time. You know? It's a joke and a half. It's a joke and a half, and it's not fair. I think these videos are appropriately titled because, intentionally or not, and I don't believe he did it intentionally, but he laid a trap. It's like bait. It's like either someone will take the bait or not take the bait, but he laid that trap for someone to think, oh, well, logic dictates if you say you'll have no choice but to dismiss the case if you don't have a medical certificate in your hand, and nobody can force my mother to go see a doctor in order to obtain that medical certificate, then the burden of proof is on the elder abuse people who have never had a valid medical certificate all along, have only had stuff that stupid nuthouse personnel wrote about my mom. You know what I mean? That's all they've ever had, and like the judge said, that's not valid. It's not a medical certificate, okay? Then the burden of proof is on them. They can't force my mom to go to see their doctor or even to get an independent medical evaluation, so it's at a standstill and the case should be dismissed at the end. But it wasn't. It wasn't dismissed. You know, so you tell me, people. I welcome your input. I welcome it. I don't think I've ever more so in my life, or my YouTube life, welcomed your input. Tell me why this happened. Tell me what's going on. Tell me why they're getting away with this. Tell me why the judge didn't dismiss the case if he said he'd have no choice. He used those exact words. It's on the no choice but to dismiss it if we didn't have a medical certificate. But he shouldn't have said that to begin with, because like my friend said, he was directing it at them, knowing damn well that they can never, ever force my mom to see a doctor. So that means they could never have it. And my family took that to mean it'll be dismissed because he said it. You tell me. I don't understand. I don't understand. But this isn't a case where I got my hopes up and they were dashed. I never thought for a million years this strategy would work. I was cringing for a month. I told everybody. Told everyone I knew. Even my mom, I'm like, this isn't going to work. That's manipulating the judge. He didn't say that for our benefit. But again, you follow it through. If you're going to go with that strategy, you follow it through. Like she said a month ago, that could work. I'll tell the judge, my competent client did not want to get this, didn't think it was necessary, and you stated on record, you said you'd have no choice but to dismiss it. So, you know, but nope, she brought up nothing. She brought up nothing. That a good lawyer would have. A good lawyer would have said, you know, Your Honor, you said this. Even if you say it at the end after you said this on record, and I can have the transcripts subpoenaed. But again, we're talking court-appointed attorney. It just says none of these people, even your attorney, you know, doesn't care. But at least when you're and she's being paid, but again, court-appointed attorney. She's not being paid what a regular attorney would be paid, you know. It just says she's a $300 suit that's gonna, you know, go bad, you know, be all worn and rip or whatever, you know, and then you have to get two more instead of just at the beginning buying one good $1,000 suit. You know? But I have a right to believe, to construe this as that judge laid a trap. He laid a trap that somebody could, if you use logic and you set aside anything, if it didn't have to do with someone's life in court or whatnot, nobody can force my mom to see a doctor. The elder abuse fucks can't have a medical certificate unless my mom goes and sees a doctor and obtains the medical certificate. So if this judge says I'll have no choice but to dismiss this case if I don't have in my hand a medical certificate next time, and there's no way the elder abuse people can force my mom to see a doctor, then the case should be dismissed. Just if you're just looking at it logically, right? It should have been dismissed. I'll have to dismiss it. But there was another faction. He said he'd have no choice but to dismiss it, and instead of dismissing it, he didn't dismiss it. He ordered my mom to get it, and now it's going to trial, pre-trial. I mean, he didn't dismiss it. But he said he'd have no choice but to dismiss it. See, that was a lie. He lied, and he set a trap for us, whether intentionally or not. It was a fucking trap. So yes, these videos are appropriately titled. It was a trap. Whether it was intentionally on his part or not, it was still a fucking trap. Some people would take the bait. Some people didn't. My uncle took the bait. He convinced my aunt, and they both convinced my mom's lawyer, which wasn't difficult. Oh, that could work. She went along with it. But she shouldn't have. She shouldn't have gone along with it. We said on record, we told that judge we'd get it, but she listened and she thought, oh, that's interesting, that could work. And then in the end, she didn't follow through and call him on what he had said. She didn't even mention it. It was like it never happened.